In this video, we're going to take a quick look at the for loop and how this loop construct works. It's pretty simple. Our little demonstration program is even more simple, so let's get right to it. Here's the structure of a for loop. Inside the parentheses of the for loop, the control section, we put everything that we ever need to know about this for loop. Remember in our while loops, we had to initialize things, and then we had tests within the while loop to make something happen. Then we had to adjust a counter, otherwise we had a infinite loop in our while if we did a while one. Well, all of that is being done right up here in the top of the for loop. We initialize the environment of this loop. We then test to see if we should continue to perform the loop. And then we adjust our counters or values or perform some other piece of work here in the adjust section. And then come back and test again. If the test is still working or is still non-zero or true, then we perform the statements, do the adjust, and keep going through this. The initialize part is only done right at the beginning of the for loop. When we come into the processing, we hit the for, we do this initialization, test if our expression is true. If it is, we perform the statement, then we do the adjust, test, perform, and so on, until eventually the test fails. When the test comes out to be false or zero, then we go to the next statement after the for loop. Now this is an infinite for loop down here. I just wanted to throw this in and show you because the items between the semicolons are optional, all of them. And if you leave them all out, the test expression defaults to true. So this is the same as our while one. And this would be an infinite for loop, and that would just sit there and run. Of course, you'd probably have a break statement down here so that you could, that's a printf. That's a typo, but we're going to leave it because we're moving on to our next slide. Here's our infinite loop with the for loop, with just the two semicolons. And, I got the printf right this time. That's great. So that's our infinite for loop. It does exactly the same thing that we had done before in this little program, getting a character and testing for a 7 and so on. The only word that we've changed is the for, taking the 1 out and put 2 semicolons in, and the compiler will make the same kind of construction for us. Here's a little quickie program that counts from 1 to 10 and prints out the count. Pretty simple. Sorry I don't have a great example for the for loop, but the for loop is just a nice solid construction and it does the job. And let's go take a look at that. Here's our code with our integer I set up to 0. We're going to initialize I again right here, equal to 1. We're going to make sure that I is less than or equal to 10, and we know in fact that it is at this point. And then we're going to come down here and perform whatever is in our statement block inside the semicolons. Yes, you could leave semicolons inside the braces. I hope you caught that. You could leave the braces off of here, and if you did, you'd just control the one statement as it is. We're controlling a compound statement. This is the way you'll normally see a for written. We perform our statement, perform our adjustment, which is I++, do our test. Is it still less than 10 or less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. And we will keep running this loop out here. Let's go see it work. Compile it. We run it. There it is, 1 through 10. Aha. So that's pretty simple. And I just wanted to prove to you that it really does work. It's a good little construct. The for loop puts everything right at the top there for you, so it's easy for you to find and read. Be careful of the braces down here. If you forget a brace or you forget these 2 braces, the for loop will wind up just controlling the single next statement rather than the entire block. And remember, it's bad to, even if you have a single statement, it's bad to leave these braces out because somebody's going to come along and throw another statement in underneath this to be controlled by your for loop. And then they'll wonder why the code doesn't work right because the for doesn't have a statement block. It's only controlling one statement. And that's the for loop.